Good morning, students. Hope you are all fine. As you start your first class during this academic year, let me first of all extend my hearty wishes and welcome you all to the first English class. Let's start this class with a wonderful poem written by Robert Frost. The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Robert Frost was an American poet who depicted life's realistic situations through his simple yet thought-provoking and insightful poetry. This poem, The Road Not Taken, is often read during graduation ceremonies in the United States. Through this simple poem, the poet talks about making choices. The choices that shapes our lives and makes us what we are. It symbolizes our life itself. The choice that we make in our lives has a strong impact on our future. And if we make a wrong choice, we will regret it in future. And we cannot go back to the past to rectify it. So, we have to make wise decisions. We have to make wise choices. So let's read this wonderful poem written by Robert Frost and understand it.
The Road Not Taken, written by Robert Frost, found on page number 14 in your Beehive textbook. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And be one traveller, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less travelled by, and that has made all the difference. Now look at the first stanza. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And be one traveller, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. So the term diverged means separated and took a different direction. Yellow wood means a forest with decomposing leaves. Undergrowth means forest. It's the dense growth of plants and bushes. In the first stanza, the poet says that once he was walking down a road and then there was a diversion. There were two different paths and he had to choose one out of them. As he was one person, he could travel on one road only. He had to choose one out of these two roads. Yellow wood means a forest with leaves which are wearing out and they have turned yellow in color. It was the season of autumn. The poet kept standing there and looked at the path very carefully, as far as he could see it. He also wanted to check if that road was suitable for him. However, he could see only a certain extent, beyond which it was covered with trees and was hidden. Now, this stanza can be connected with our lives, where we have choices, but we have to pick only one. We keep thinking about its pros and cons and whether it is suitable for us. In the second stanza, then took the other, just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that the passing there had worn them really about the same. Fair, fair means as good as the other one. Claim means better option. Grassy, grassy here means unused. Wanted wear means had not been used. The poet kept on looking at one path for a long time and finally decided to take the other path, as it was equally good. He chooses this path as he felt that it was better for him and it had grass on it and seemed unused. Not many people had walked on it. After walking on that path, he realized that both the paths were equally worn out. Even in our life, whatever path we choose, it will have its own benefits, disadvantages, challenges, problems, and we must face them. Now look at the stanza 3. And both that morning equally lay, in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. Now trodden means walked over. In this stanza, the poet says that both the paths were similar that morning. Both had leaves on them and they were unused. The grass on the road was fresh. He decided that day he would take one path and keep the other path for another day. He knew, however, that he could not go back and on the choice that he had made. Similarly, even in our life, once we choose an option, we must keep on moving ahead with that option. We might never get a chance to come back later. Now look at the fourth stanza, the final stanza. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. The term sigh means deep breath. Hence, here means in the future. So the poet says, in the future, he will take a deep breath and say that once upon a time he had reached such a point in life that there were two options for him, and he traveled on that road which had been traveled upon by lesser number of people. That decision of his decided his future. Similarly, in future, when you grow up, you will say that once upon a time when you were young, you had two options. The choice that you made you what you became of it. This is a very strong message for all the students, that you should be wise and be careful while making choices out of the options that you have in your life, because your future depends on the choice that you make today. So students, hope you understood this poem. Please read the poem several times and copy the notes neatly in your notebook, the notes that is posted along with this video tutorial. Okay students, thank you and have a nice day.